Today we're going to look at the Tamron SP-24-70 f2.8 DI VC USD G2, a mouthful for sure. Let's go. What's up everybody? Phil with Photo Gear Fun here today. I wanted to take a look at this Tamron SP-24-70 lens. It's f2.8 throughout the entire zoom range. This is the G2 version. I used it on my EOS-R. Went out to take some pictures. Just want to run through some specs, and then I'll show you some of the photos that I took, and then we'll come back and wrap up this review. So it is an 82mm filter thread. It's f2.8 through f22. It does have some fluorine coating for flaring, which seems to do a pretty good job. It's got an ultrasonic focus motor, which is very quiet. The VC is their image stabilization. That's up to 5 stops. I found it does a really good job. It's a 9-bladed aperture diaphragm. There are 17 elements in 12 groups, so there's a lot of glass in this bad boy. It is moisture resistant. It's compatible with their tap-in console, which allows you to be able to do firmware updates and kind of tweak the lens a little bit. It weighs about 2 pounds or 950 grams, and the minimum focus distance is 15 inches or 38 centimeters. So you can see here you have a couple of switches on there, one for VC and one for autofocus, manual focus. There's also a lock on this one. So at 24mm, you can lock the lens so that the lens doesn't creep. You can see that here. When you're carrying it around, it won't creep at all on you. The lens hood is plastic. It's pretty nice though. It actually has a locking mechanism. You can see here, you can twist it on and lock it. And then to unlock it, there's a button that you press. And you press that button, you'll be able to unlock. So that lens hood really does stay on there. It's a plastic build, but it's a high quality plastic build. It seems like Tamron's been doing a good job. I just love their design aesthetic. Really nice looking. Again, it's 2 pounds, so it's a little heavy, maybe just slightly front heavy on the EOS-R, but nowhere near the 70 to 200, which I'll have a review of coming up soon. I do like the color, that kind of, and the markings look great. The autofocus found to be pretty fast and nearly silent. I didn't shoot any video with this one, but other video reviews are out there. So what we'll do is we'll jump into Lightroom. I'll show you some of the photos that I took, and then we'll come up and we'll come back and wrap up this review with my thoughts on this Tamron SP-24-70 f2.8 lens. Okay, let's look at some pictures with this lens. These were taken on the Canon EOS-R. I'm going to show you my version of the brick wall. Hopefully this is a little prettier than some of the other brick wall comparisons you might see. These are raw files. Everything is raw. No editing has been done. Just wanted to show you this is at 24mm, and you can see up here and f2.8. So I didn't get my lines straight, so the perspective's not great. You can see there's some vignetting, and you'll see there's some distortion. The good news is I'm in Lightroom here, and you can correct that with just one click. So that is with the profiles enabled. Profile corrections enabled, and you can do this if you want to shoot JPEGs. The camera will do this for you. I just shot these raw so you could see. So if you look at the corners here at f2.8, 24mm, a pretty fair amount of vignetting, but again, the good news is it can be fixed fairly easily with just a click in Lightroom. Took that same basic shot, and this is at f16, so you can see here f16, f2.8, and I don't know that it comes through in this video, but you can definitely see a difference in the corner. And here's f8, same basic shot. Sorry, that's f11, this f8. And again, just one click, you get that taken care of. But I do like the color, I like the clarity, I like the contrast, the 3 C's. I'm going to go through and just show you some other pictures that I take. This one is going to show you the chromatic aberration, and this is a outrageously difficult situation. As you can see, the backlighting is high contrast, and you can see there's some discoloration here. Looks like chromatic aberration, but not as distinct as some that I've seen, and it's a greenish kind of color, and that can be corrected in Lightroom. And I don't know again if this is going to show through, but just a quick click take care of most of that. But if you pay attention to the color and the clarity here, again, I think this looks really good. The contrast is all good, and that's at 24mm. Just want to show you another high contrast shot. And this one was right behind, but if you zoom in and look at this, it's at 100%. Even if you go to 200%, you can see it was a little hazy that day, but everything looks really good. Sharp. Autofocus is very accurate, very quick, pretty much silent autofocus. It's got a silent autofocus motor. Took some pictures of water, as I tend to do, but also wanted to take some pictures to show you the kind of the depth of field that you get. So here I'm focused on this rock at the front, and this is at f2.8. I'm sorry, that's f8. Let me get f2.8. And so you can see the focus is on this rock here in the front. And if you look towards the back, you can definitely see at f2.8. This is at 64 millimeters, so almost zoomed all the way in. And these water shots will show chromatic aberration at times too, and this one looks pretty clean. I don't see any purple, maybe just some slight green, but to me that looks pretty clean. Here's another example of what you can expect from a bokeh perspective, and again, this is a good example of just how sharp this lens really is, and the contrast and the color and the clarity, those three C's. But you can see this background is deeply out of focus, and we're shot this one at 24 millimeters. So again, pretty impressed. Color, clarity, contrast, all those C's. Here's just another shot that I like taking, and this is at 42 millimeters, f2.8. And again, I usually shoot at the same time of day. I just like the way the light falls on this one. Here's another test for chromatic aberrations, and you can see if you look here carefully, looks like there's some purple fringing here, but I'm trying really hard to get this to show some CA. But again, that can be corrected really easily in Lightroom. Here's some nice little murals they have around there, and again, just to show you what you can expect for distortion. So this is at 24 millimeters, and this is the uncorrected image. So you can see there's some vignetting, and there's definitely some distortion here. But again, just a click in Lightroom kind of clears all that up. And I was lucky enough to come across a couple that let me take a portrait, and I'm normally not a portrait shooter. And this one is edited, so the others I've shown are unedited. This one is edited. But just to give you an idea on what the skin tones look like. And again, these are all shot on the EOS-R. So I like Canon's colors, and this lens seems to do a good job. Really don't have any complaints. That slight chromatic aberration, but it's much less than I've seen with other lenses. Well, those were the pictures. We're going to wrap up this review of the Tamron SP24-70 f2.8 DI VC USD G2 with my final thoughts. Okay, so those were the pictures. What do I think of this lens? Sharp, great autofocus, silent autofocus, a little bit heavy. The one con I would say is a little bit heavy, but that's expected for this lens. It's a 24-70 f2.8. There's a lot of glass in there. It's got a decent minimum focus distance. The reproduction rate is decent, so you can get fairly close. I wouldn't call it a macro lens. And it is $1,100. So if you compare that to the Canon offering, it's roughly about half the cost. And one of the reasons I got this lens in the Canon mount was that I can use it on my A7 III, and I might do a review on that. Also on my Fuji with adapters, so I can take this Canon mount lens and use it on three of the camera systems that I actually own. I think it's a good value if you're going to be doing portraits, and I don't do a lot of portraits, but I'm going to start doing portraits. I think this is a must-have lens. It's a great walk-around lens, but I would probably use it just for portraits because it is a little bit heavy, and there are other lenses with different focal ranges or similar focal ranges that you might want to use that weigh a little bit less. Hope you enjoyed this review of this Tamron SP24-70 f2.8 G2 lens. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. If you do subscribe, please click on that bell icon. That will allow you to be notified whenever we go live or we produce a new video. Get out there and have your photo gear fun. I will talk at you again in the next video.